Hello everyone, my name is Elvis Kamangazwa. In this video, we are going to discuss about kinetic theory of matter. So, in the word kinetic theory of matter, we have kinetic theory and matter. On recap, I hope you know what is state of matter. In the state of matter, we have solids, liquids, and gases. So here we want to see kinetic theory concerning these matters. So when we say kinetic is the same as movement. Kinetic theory will be talking about temperature, how temperature affects the movement of particles of states of matter, that is solids, liquids, and gases. Now, on recap, pofuna kungokumbutsana, let's see. Temperature measures how fast particles are moving. So, as I said, for us to understand kinetic theory of matters, we need to know what a temperature is. Temperature is the measure of hotness or coldness of a substance. Imeneyo ndi temperature. So we are saying temperature measures how fast particles are moving. Zimene zoti temperature ndi imene mapanga determine kuti kodi chinthuchi ma particles iwa ayenda mwachangu motani. If the temperature is high, it means it will cause that particle or that substance to move fast. Whereby when the temperature is low, the substance will lose kinetic energy, thereby it is going to move slowly. So temperature ndi mmene mapanga determine mmene chinthu ina chake chimayendera mwachangu. So we are saying higher temperature is equal to fast motion is equal to more energy. Whenever you are increasing a temperature over a substance or a particle, the particle will move fast because it will gain more energy. This energy we are talking about here is kinetic energy imene kwamba mbuyo muja. So mukuyenera kudziona zoti kinetic theory of matter imapangidwa determine the temperature, but this temperature will affect on the state of matter, that is solid, liquid, and gases. Now let's see kinetic theory of matter. Now, first of all, we need to understand what is a matter. So we are saying matter is anything that have mass and occupies space. When we say a matter, ndi chinthu china chilichonse chimene chimakhala kuti chili ndi kalemeredwe komanso chimatenga mawu. Anything that have a mass and occupies space, that one is the matter. So you can see a solid, chinthu china chonse chimene chili solid chimakhala ndi kalemeredwe kake komanso chimatenga mawu. Liquid, the same as liquid, it fills the liquid, it fills the container. Gases, it fills the container as well. Liquids, they do take a shape of a container. When we are saying it take a shape of a container, chikupanga occupy the space. So solids, liquid, and gases, those are matters. So we are saying everything that surrounds us is a matter. China yonse chimene chatizungulira, china yonse chimene chakuzungulirani, china yonse chimene chamuzungulira munthu, that one is the matter. So we're saying the kinetic theory of matter says that all matter is made up of tiny moving particles. Any matter, a solid, a liquid, or a gas, imapangidwa ndi ma small particles amene amakhala ali in motion. Solids imapangidwa ndi ma particles amakhala mu motion, but motion yake sikuti imakhala kusuntha malo kuchoka pofika apo. Particles in solids, they do move by vibration. They vibrate at fixed position. Zimangopanga vibrate malo omwe. That's the movement of particles in solids. When we go in liquids, my particles amaenda, but they do move while sticking to each other. koma amasintha malo kuchoka pena kupita pena. In gases ma particles ndi amaenda randomly and freely in all directions. So that's why we are saying kinetic theory of matter says that all matter is made up of tiny moving particles, that is atoms or molecules. In some books, kinetic theory of matter states that matter is made up of tiny discrete individual particles that are continuously in random motion. So that is kinetic theory of matter. If you can be asked the question, explain the kinetic theory of matter. So you say kinetic theory of matter states that a matter is made up of tiny discrete individual particles that are continuously in random motion. And the kinetic theory of matter is affected by temperature, whereby when the temperature increases, the particles in the matter gain kinetic energy, whereby when they gain kinetic energy, they move fast. And when the temperature decreases, the particles loses kinetic energy. And when they lose kinetic energy, they do move slowly. That is kinetic theory of matter. Now, let's see states of matter. We have 3 states of matter. That is, we have solid, liquid, and gases. Those are the states of matter whereby we are going to see in this topic, that is kinetic theory of matter. That one, what is kinetic theory of what is kinetic theory in solids, in liquid, and in gases. Now let's see kinetic theory of solids. How does temperature affect the movement of particles in solids? That is kinetic theory of solids. So the first thing, before tisana kambirana kinetic theory of solids, tufunika tidziwe nozoti ma particles mu solids amapangana arrange motani. So we are saying in solids, particles are tightly packed and only vibrate in place. Ma solids, any solid, ma particles amakhala apangidwa packed moyandikana kwambiri motitikana. And akati when we say tightly packed, ndipo amapanga vibrate. Their motion in the particles moves in solids only by vibration, and the vibration yake makhala kuti malage ndi omwewo akungopanga vibrate. So that one is in solids. So we are saying solids have the highest density compared to liquids and gases, because solids is made up of particles which are highly packed. It means their force of attraction between the particles is high. When the particles are closely packed, it means chinthu ichi ndoti chikhala chotani cholemera. That's why tunezoti ma solids amakhala ndi density yayikulu kuposa liquids komanso ma gases. When we say density, ndi kulemera kwa chinthu. So chifukwa yani ma solids amakhala olemera? Amakhala olemera chifukwa chonezoti amakhala nozoti ma particles yawo anapangidwa very they are tightly packed. So let's see now what kinetic theory of solids says. Now, when we say kinetic, we are including temperature in it. How does temperature affect the arrangement of particles in a solid? So we are saying when solids are heated, they gain kinetic energy and the particles vibrate more, but at fixed position. Mukamatenthetsa solids, when you are heating a solid, it means you are increasing the temperature of that solid. So when you are heating a solid, the particles gain that energy, gain kinetic energy. That is the energy from the temperature you are increasing. When the particles gain kinetic energy, because kinetic energy, first of all, before I go ahead, let me define kinetic energy. Kinetic energy, this is the energy of movement, or this is the energy that possesses a movement in an object. In the energy, imene mathandizira chinthu kuti chidzienda. Any object which moves, it do possess kinetic energy. So when you are hitting an object and a solid, the particles of the solids gain that kinetic energy. Ikapanga gain kinetic energy, imapeza kuti yamba kuyenda mwachangu. Chinthu chija ma particles yamba kuyenda mwachangu. When the particles are moving fast, it means they are what? They are vibrating, but at fixed position. When they are vibrating, it means they are colliding to each other. When they are colliding, it means the force between the attraction force between these particles, it is breaking. Imapeza kuona kuti kulumikizana kwawo kuja kwamba kuchepa mphamvu chifukwa kuti mukupanga heat. Pamene kwamba kuchepa mphamvu chifukwa kuti mukupanga heat, then the bond break up. Force of attraction ija imapeza kuti yadukana. when the force of attraction breaks, it means now chinthu chija sintha kuchoka ku solid chapitano kuchani ku liquid. That's why when you hit solids, they do converted from the solid to liquid. Imene makhala process imene machedwa kuti chani melting. Now what happens is, when you are hitting a solid, that solid gain kinetic energy, and when the particles gain kinetic energy, they do vibrate at high amplitude. When they are vibrating at high amplitude, and then their force of attraction, it breaks apart, it becomes weak. And when it breaks apart, maparticles mu solid muja chifuna ndio amapanga vibrate pa fixed malo amodzi omwewo kena kwa pezoti ayamba kuyenda. Amene ayamba kuyenda ndoti yasintha. Chimene yoyonso si solid, now ndi chani ndi liquid. Ndoti process ya melting ije imakhala chitika. So if you going to be asked, explain the kinetic theory of solids, you need just to say a solid is a matter that is made up of tiny particles that are tightly packed. When you increase the temperature of the solids, the particles of solids gain kinetic energy and moves fast, whereby when they move fast, they vibrate at high amplitude. They vibrate fast at high amplitude, thereby weaken the intermolecular force between the particles, and then break the bond, which result in conversion from the solids to liquids. But when you mukafusidwa fusonga limene simaforokoza mbali imodzi, when you explain about increase in temperature, kila kumafunika muforokoze degrees of temperature, imema ngukhala vice versa yake. So we are saying increase in heat in a solid increases kinetic energy and reduces attraction force between the particles. Zimenda forokoza kalezi. Mukama panga increase temperature, makhala kulisa kinetic energy, thereby mayebetsa mphamvu yakulumikizana kwa particles nkati mwa solids. I hope you are following. Now, let's see kinetic theory of liquids. Mind you, for you to be able to explain kinetic theory of matter, that is of solids, liquid, and gases, the first thing, mukuyenera mudzione zoti maparticles amu state of matter imeneyo anapangidwa pake motani, and ma intermolecular forces yawo pakati ma particles yawo ndi otani. So we takambirana mu solid, apa tibwere mu liquid, where we are saying liquids have moderate intermolecular forces of attraction between particles. When we say moderate, zimatanthauza kuti apakatikati. Intermolecular force kumana mphamvu yawo ya maparticles kukokana kwa mphamvu yawo ma particles ndi kwa pakatikati. So when we say pakatikati, zimatanthauza zoti ma solids amakhala ndi mphamvu kwambiri pamene ma liquids amakhala ndi apakatikati. So how does this affect their theory of their kinetic theory? So we are saying particles in liquids are free to move, that is, they flow while sticking together. Ma particles in my liquids amaenda mosavutikira, they do not vibrate. Particles in liquids, they move, but they move while sticking to each other. Ndoti makhazo kuti particle ndi yagundana akutengana akuyendera limodzi, ndi akutengana akuyendera limodzi. So that's why we are saying sticking together. So when liquids are heated, particles acquire kinetic energy and hence moves fast. Chimodzimodzi ku solids kuja. Kuma liquids iso wapanga increase temperature. Ma liquids aja amapanga gain kinetic energy. When they gain that kinetic energy, they do move fast. When they move fast, it means they also weaken. Amapanga so weaken intermolecular force yapakati pawo ya moderate ija. Akapanga weaken intermolecular force imene ikapitilira, mukamapitiriza kutenthetsa madzi aja, mukamapitiriza kuatenthetsa, for example madzi mukuatenthetsa, chimene chimachitika ndi chani? Now they change from a liquid to a gas. That is the process of what? Evaporation. Ndoti makhazo kuti intermolecular force yawo ija yapangidwa break yonse yapangidwa break, yasinthano, yachokano kumachani, yachokano kuma liquid kena kupita ku gas. So that is kinetic theory of liquids, whereby we're saying liquids change this state to gas in a process called evaporation. A liquid cannot change into a gas if you are not raising its temperature. It only changes when you are increasing the temperature of a liquid. So the process of changing is when you are increasing, the particles gain kinetic energy. When they gain kinetic energy, they do move fast. When they do move fast, then they weaken the intermolecular forces, thereby converted from a liquid to a gas. That is kinetic theory of liquids. Now let's see kinetic theory of gases. Now, how does a temperature affect the movement of particles in gases? But first of all, we need to understand how particles are arranged in gases. In gases, particles are far apart and move quickly in all directions. Magasi maparticles amakhala otalikana wina ndi nzake, which means gases intermolecular force yawo ndiyo chepa mphamvu kwambiri imakanika kuwapanga maparticles kuti akhale pamodzi. Chifukwa maparticles iwa samakhala ogundana, they move in all directions. They move randomly in all directions because they have weak intermolecular forces. So we are saying gases have no fixed shape or volume. You know that. Sunga nene kuti shape ya gas imaoneka chonchi kapena volume ya gas ndiya chonchi. This is because gases, they are far apart. Their intermolecular force is very weak. That cannot be determined. So we are saying in gases, the intermolecular forces are so weak. These intermolecular forces exist only upon collision. Intermolecular force ya gases imaoneka pokapoka gases ajakhala zoti agundana wina ndi nzake. Akakhala agundana pamene pamabwera weak intermolecular force. In rise of temperature, gas particles gain more kinetic energy. Hence, they move more vigorously in a different direction. Now, this is the kinetic theory of what? Of gases. When you increase the temperature in gases, those gas particles that are far apart, they do gain kinetic energy. Whereby when they gain kinetic energy, they move vigorously and fast. Which means when they move vigorously and fast, they do collide to each other. When they are colliding to each other, it means the weak bond akuipanga break completely. Not akaipanga break completely. Kena kuima bezoti gas ija sintanu tsopano. You know, also gas they do change. So that is the processes whereby that is the kinetic theory of gases. So before I continue, if you can be asked a question, explain the kinetic theory of gases. The first thing you need to say many maparticles amapangidwa arrange gases, then mukambepo za temperature. Kuti pamene temperature yakwera gas particles amapanga gain kinetic energy, thereby they move fast, vigorously, and in random and in all directions, whereby they do collide to each other. But when you decrease a temperature of the gases lose kinetic energy, thereby they move fast, they move slowly, because the kinetic energy is lost. Chimodzimodzi songa rimwe kama mafusidwa muforokoza kinetic theory of liquids kapena mafusidwa kinetic theory of solids. But when you have asked the general question, explain the kinetic theory of matter, zurantha zoti muforokoze in general kuti kinetic theory of matter imaforokoza noti chani. Ndizijetimane zoti it state that a matter is made up of tiny particles that are always in random motion. That is kinetic theory of matter. And then mukaforokoza choncho muyeneranso muforokoza oneza kuti temperature imapanga affect bwanji maparticles amu state of matter amenewa. That's kinetic theory of matter. If you have a question, mukhoza kufunsa ku comment section. Ngati pali ndemanga mukhoza kuyikirapo. But before I finish, I have an exercise for you. So that one is an exercise whereby question 1 is saying, describe the kinetic theory of matter. State 2 differences between solids and liquids using the kinetic theory. Explain the effect of temperature on solid, liquid, and gases. Thank you for paying attention. Let's meet to the next lesson.